What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel, iCubed. Interested, informed, inspired. Alright, I'm gonna cut right to the chase because this review might be a bit lengthier than my other two reviews. Now, if you happen to have missed those, no worries. Those are linked down below in the description box and in the end cards at the end of this video. Check those out. Those are fire if I do say so myself. Now, I want to preface this review with a few things. It will provide context. Now, as many of you already know, or if you didn't know, I came to the US back in 2001 from Cameroon, which is in West/Central Africa. I got a couple of videos on that. Check those out as well. Those will be linked below. Now, in school, we learned everything from the Ottoman Empire and ancient Egypt to the Dark and Industrial Ages. Not a whole lot about slavery. Or maybe we did learn about slavery and it's just my memory failing me because I hated history so much. I just simply did not understand how any of what we were learning was going to be of use later on in life. Unless, of course, I was planning on being a historian, which I wasn't, but I digress. It wasn't so much that learning about slavery was not important. Slavery and colonialism have impacted us all, the whole world. However, I think we did not learn a whole lot about slavery because it was not an integral part of Cameroonian history as colonialism was. And so for the longest, the only thing I knew about slavery was from roots. I kid you not. I had heard of Martin Luther King here and there, but I never heard of Frederick Douglass, Rosa Parks, and I definitely had never heard of Harriet Tubman. Now that is obviously not the case anymore, having lived in the US for nearly 20 years. And when I saw that trailer, girl, I had a feeling that critics were gonna have a field day with this movie, as we saw in The Butler, The Help, and 12 Years a Slave. Basically any movie with a black lead or predominantly black cast playing subservient roles or roles that don't necessarily cast them in a positive light. By the way, I've seen all of the movies I listed above. Now, before you come for me, keep in mind that everyone's idea of what a good movie is highly subjective. Some might see this movie and think, meh, doesn't do it for me. Others might place it in one of the greatest movies of the year category. And then there are folks like myself who thought the movie was good, but underwhelming. And I'll get to that in a little bit. Now back to the trailer. The first time I saw that trailer back in September, I was compelled to see the movie. I could not wait until November. And again, this was yet another case of the trailer outshining the movie itself. Now, I like Cynthia Erivo, and I hope I'm saying her last name properly. And I actually saw her in Bad Times at El Royale and Widows that came out last year and thought to myself, who is this breakout actress? She's so good. I was getting Jennifer Hudson vibes from her, but of course I'm not comparing both of them. And I think Cynthia did an outstanding job as Harriet. Not just the line delivery, but the physicality of it all. She was doing a lot of running in this movie. Now, that aside, I thought for the movie to be that long, it was 2 hours and some change, it didn't carry the weight I was expecting. Now, I completely understand that things are going to have to be abbreviated in the movie for the sake of time. However, I do not think they accurately portrayed the distress Harriet underwent traveling from Maryland to Pennsylvania alone on foot. They made it seem somewhat easy. There was the scene from the trailer where she jumped off the bridge. Then it cuts to another scene of her waking up by a creek looking disheveled. Then she somehow sneaks into someone's horse cart and hides in the hay. Then she's kicked off the cart, and the next thing we knew, she was being dropped off at the border of Pennsylvania. The only time I as a viewer knew that she almost drowned and went days without eating was when she countered William Steele's warning not to go back to Maryland to collect her husband and her family. Same thing with the massive scar on her back and on her forehead. They don't show how she got those scars, not even in flashbacks. They just put it in dialogue, which works for a movie admittedly. But let's be real, I've seen more violence and gore in other movies than in this movie. And this is supposed to be a movie centered around slavery. My point being, some people will never understand the horrors of slavery and the impact unless they've seen a portrayal of it that is as close to reality as can get, like 12 Years a Slave. Then perhaps people might refrain from saying things as insensitive as, oh, they need to get over it, or slavery was such a long time ago, or being pro something means that you're against another, like everything is black and white. No pun intended. And for the umpteenth time, Black Lives Matter does not mean Black Lives Matter only. It means Black Lives Matter too. That being said, this is going to sound like a contradiction from my previous point, but I did appreciate the levity and the mild humor they infused into a topic so dark. An example was when Harriet was sneaking slaves away from the plantation right under the overseer's nose by singing, and the overseer finding out when it was too late. Now on to the ending, when Harriet got to confront her former owner. Not quite sure if that was a Hollywood add-on or it actually happened, but it was so satisfying and I did appreciate it. Now on to my rating. Drum roll, please. It was a good movie, as I mentioned earlier, but I wasn't blown away. I hope you enjoyed this review. Guys, your girl is growing. And in order to keep that momentum, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and like, share, and comment. And I'll see you next week for another movie review. Not sure which one yet, but I have lots of great options. Will it be Dr. Sleep, or Queen and Slim, or 21 Bridges? Click the notification bell and you'll find out on Tuesday. Deuces.
Listen.